Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Nakunan webinar, calling from Montreal late in the evening. I know it's early morning for Valentina in Australia. There will be time for a question and answer at the end of the presentation. The presentation will be about around 20 minutes, and we will have around 10 minutes for question and answer. So please log your questions in the question box, and I will hand it over to Valentina to start the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sharon, and good morning or good evening to everybody. Thank you for connecting today. It's great to see we have so many participants from all over the world. Today, the presentation will be about circular economy, how we incorporate a circular economy approach in design and we deliver circularity outcomes in operations. And we will specifically talking about the opportunity of shifting from transfer stations design to circular economy hubs. My name is Valentina Petrone. I am an architect and urban designer by training, and I'm very passionate about sustainability and circular economy. I've been working all my career in the construction industry, and my professional goal is really to design in a better way to minimize the impacts on the environment. For WSP, I'm the Australia Circular Economy Lead. I'm also the coordinator with James Martin from the UK of the Circular Economy Global Plan. So for any WSPs on the line, please check that out. And I'm part of the Waste Management and Circular Economy team. Our team is based in Australia and New Zealand. We are 12. We are an amazing group with different skill sets. We are really proud of our technical excellence, and we deliver a variety of services in partnership with our clients. We work with private and government clients, and our services are both around waste management, particularly waste avoidance and zero waste, and circular economy. We offer design and advisory services. In terms of advisory, can be, for example, preparing circular design guidelines for state governments or zero waste strategies for councils. And in terms of design, we work in any type of developments where there will be potentially some solid waste to be produced. So transfer stations, design for large-scale developments like airports or large-scale shopping centers. And we also work across multiple sectors globally. So transport, water infrastructure, and mining is where definitely there are lots of synergies and lots of interest in terms of waste avoidance and circular economy approach. Today, before I begin my presentation, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land where I live, the Camaraga people, and pay my respect to their elder, past, present, and emerging. And I also would love to highlight that our team works in collaboration with the WSP Indigenous Services team, and we're trying to embed the circular economy approach in every project we deliver through an Indigenous lens. And what I've highlighted on the slide is the interesting difference of language with the 3 key principles of a circular economy on the right, bottom right side, and how those are translated in their language. Same outcomes, but it's interesting to see the difference of approach, and we really try to acknowledge and respect that. So today my presentation will be around 15-20 minutes. I will introduce briefly what is circular economy and particularly what does it mean for the built environment. I will provide a high-level overview of what is currently the role of transfer station in Australia and how with our team we have identified an opportunity to expand and shift from just transfer station to also having components of a circular economy hubs. I will share a couple of best practice examples we are working at the moment, and there will be time for Q&A at the end. So what is circular economy? I'm pretty sure that everybody on the call is familiar with the term. What I just would like to point out is that in a nutshell, circular economy means shifting away from a linear and wasteful approach and really looking at opportunities to design out waste from the outset, keep materials in use at the highest value for as long as possible, and return materials to systems. As you can see on the image on the page, yes, recycling is a parts and a component of a circular economy approach, but ideally in a truly circular economy, we want to see nearly zero waste and very small and nearly empty bins. So if there is one thing that you take away from this presentation, will be the concept that we need to shift our mindset and consider waste not just something that we want to get rid of very quickly, but as a resource, and how we can design any products, any material, any assets, anything we use and we produce in a different way, so we can facilitate this approach on valuing our resources better. And why circular economy is important, particularly for the built environment, is the clear link with our net zero transition. So according to this diagram prepared by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, up to 55% of emissions reductions in the built environment can be achieved through shifting to renewable energies and innovative technologies, but up to 45% can be reduced by the way we design and we select our materials. And the impacts are clearly highlighted on the right side of the page, and the opportunities. So it's definitely to reduce Scope 3 emissions, both through the design and construction phase and across the operational phase. So let's now jump into what are transfer stations and what's the role that they play in Australia. And I'm aware it's a type of facility that is available also in other countries, and there will be probably some synergies, but I would love then to hear from you if there are any substantial differences around the world. So in Australia, transfer station is a place where residents can take hard to recycle materials and can recycle extended waste streams. So typically in Australia, we have a 3 or 4 bin system per every household, which is called the curbside bins. We have red, yellow, and green. And there we have a weekly or a fortnightly service for the waste to be taken away by households, but all of these extended waste streams like e-waste, textiles, mattresses, hard to recycle items or large bulky items, they need to be taken by the residents to a transfer station. So just to simplify the concept, typically a transfer station is a temporary place where waste is transferred to, is consolidated on site to compaction, baling, shredding, and then is transferred to the dedicated recycling facility per each stream. They aim to minimize contamination as much as possible and to separate streams as much as they can, but is most of the time purely recycling. Over the past years, because sometimes residents drop off at transfer station goods that are still in good conditions, there have been a growing momentum in establishing small reuse and resale shops, as pictured on the right side. These usually are, very simple undercover areas where the staff working on site will just salvage any product they think can have a second life, and they are just stored temporarily there, and typically can be tools, can be a piece of furniture, some homewares, building materials, but this is still the perception of this facility in Australia by the residents is still a place that you just go when you need to go, because you can't store any more bulky goods at home anymore. You just go there, drop it off, and run away. It's not a place where people go there to do some serious shopping or they want to spend some time. So there is still a missed opportunity in terms of those reusable items. Here it comes our model and our concept about establishing a circular economy hub, specifically co-located with transfer station, because there is already a flow of materials and a flow of people going to those facilities. What about if we add additional services and we design those assets in a way that are people friendly? There might be a cafe and we want to stay there and spend some time and even learn some new skills or be educated. So the idea is really to shifting the conception from waste, as I mentioned, as a material we want to get rid of, to a material with opportunities, and having this additional space allocated within the transfer station. So that could be to libraries, repair cafe, living lab, and it is a very flexible and scalable model. So we can really allow for how much space we possibly can, and look into interchangeable functions within this space. And this brings us back to the 10 Rs and what are really the opportunity with a circular economy approach. So if we look at the bottom left of the page, so transfer stations are really looking at, as I said, mostly recycling. So just the very lower end of the waste hierarchy, just recycle, recover, and the disposal of anything that can be further recycled. In resource recovery centers, what in the middle of the page, what we are seeing at the moment is that there is a more focus on the reuse, but what we really want to achieve with circular economy hubs is the full waste hierarchy. So the 10 Rs, starting from refuse and rethink, which happens with a lot of community education, how we reduce the amount of material we throw away in the first place. And then the reuse part is supported by these other 4 important Rs. Can we repair items? Do we have the skills to repair items? Because there are a lot of things I would love to repair, but I'm not capable to, and it's hard to find somebody with the right skill set, and it costs a lot of money. And then similarly, how can we be creative and refurbish, remanufacture, and repurpose our goods? And ideally, the circular economy hub is a place where all of this can be found in one place. It's a one go point where I have residents will have the convenience to go to that place with something they want to be repaired, and have a good certainty that at the end of their session, the goods will be repaired and they will come back home with something that's working, or they have learned a new skill, or they have purchased a second-hand goods. So as I mentioned, circular economy hubs are very flexible in their concept, and they can offer opportunity for community engagement. We've seen through COVID how this is very important. Can offer new job opportunities and opportunities for employment, for example, for people with disabilities, or through not-for-profit organizations. And looking at the environmental benefits, we are definitely going to reduce Scope 3 emissions and any greenhouse gas emission generated through the transport. Think about all the materials that is collected into the transfer station and then transport again to the recycling facility, and all the energy consumed to do the proper recycling. So in the next 2 slides, I'm going to share a very high-level overview of 2 sites we have designed. So our team has a very strong expertise in designing transfer stations, and transfer station is not just a simple waste facility. It is a complex project where we work in collaboration with planners, architects, civil engineers, structural engineer, traffics, and our team has this great role of being the coordinator of all the different disciplines under a circular economy approach in design and in operations. So particularly in this site, it is usually in transfer stations, very important is the safety of the users. So we know that residents will access this site, so we really want to make sure that the site is safe for the patrons and there is no interaction with the very large waste collection vehicles that are going to service and still to take away some of the goods. So if you can see on the page, the entry is on the bottom left corner, and there is a nice good circuit for the residents. They first will stop, we go through the more like standard transfer station, like drop off recycling materials that will be managed by the staff, and then they will go through the loop, and they will have some parking space and a very easy and convenient access to the interactive center. The interactive center in these sites has allowance for a reuse shop, a tool library. There will be a cafe, a living lab for startups to test the new materials. And you can see those dotted lines. The idea is that the interiors are modular, so depending on the need of each different function, there will be some operable partitions, and you could be renting one module or 2 modules or 4, depending on your needs, and it can also be on a temporary basis. And on the top right, you see in red, there still be a compactor for landfill, for waste going to landfill, because there will always be some residual waste, but we want this to be as reduced as possible. And also this residual waste part is in this right area labeled as loading zone. It is only for waste stuff. So visitors will not even see anymore at this facility one single red bin. So they're really encouraged to drop off only recyclable or reusable materials. And this layout is a response to a very ambitious plan of the city of Greater Bendigo in Victoria to close their landfill. They need to close the landfill, and they are working with us to design not only this site but other 2 sites in the area to really reduce the amount of garbage that needs to be disposed of. Another example that we are working at the moment is in Sydney. This is a small-scale transfer station. In New South Wales, we call them community recycling center, but it's just the same approach. So we have at the entry point these components where the residents will drop off their recyclable goods, and there will be staff on site helping to sort out the different materials. And then we propose this idea to the clients who loved it. What about, we're already doing this on this amazing site, there is a public park across the road. What about if we incorporate a circular economy hub component? Again, this is a very well divided from the vehicle flow and the collection vehicles that will happen in certain time of the day, and it's going to be a very green space with a great example of circular economy in design, again with modular items, modular components, modular buildings that will serve as a tool library. There will be a coffee van, there will be vending machine, and all the services within this area, we have designed them for future expansion and future flexibility. So really interesting to see how we can deliver an asset which, once operational, will support transition to circular economy, but very important as well is how we design assets that are circular themselves, so they will be able to be easily disassembled and repurposed and reused without limiting as much as possible any future demolition. And again, responding to the client's needs, we wanted this area to be as much as possible made of reused materials and reused components, so really walking the talk also in the design, but the client really wanted to make sure that it was going to be a very clean and perceived as a high-end facility, because the goal is really to educates residents that this is not a dump facility, it's not a smelly and a dirt facility. That's a cool place where we want to go and spend time and potentially, get one of our products fixed finally, like a zip is fixed, or we can rent some tools for our weekend project. And circular economy hubs, as I said, can be integrated everywhere. So not just at transfer station, but we see, and we are doing great projects on incorporating this within any type of developments. Can be multi-tower developments, can be precincts, or can be broader circular economy hubs facilities. Because it's a scalable and modular concept, can really be trialed and tested by any council, and can be incorporated as a requirement to any potentially state significant development or any development that is going through a design competition. We have incorporated this in the Arden precinct in Melbourne. There is a large scale circular economy hub, and also it's incorporated in the master planning. We are prepared for the Bradfield City Centre in Sydney. So really lots of opportunities and ways to engage with the community, offer a better service, and achieve net zero and zero waste targets. And of course, this is all based on a lot of research internationally. We have been the first proposing this concept in Australia. We've been learning a lot from our global colleagues and doing a lot of research. But by all means, if you have any experience and any interesting project you would like to share, I would love to hear more from all the participants, and work together on designing always better facilities for our community and for our cities. So just to wrap up, key takeaways for me: definitely circular economy is more than just recycling. I would love everybody to start considering waste as a problem, but consider waste as a resource. It's very important to embed the circular economy in design approach as early as possible. And I've also authored the circular design guidelines for the built environment for the New South Wales state governments. If you are curious to have a read, please reach out. And circular economy hubs, they are an amazing model. It's flexible, it's scalable, can contribute to foster a sense of community, can promote the creation of job opportunities. So we are really, really passionate about this idea, and would love to see this developing globally as much as possible. Thank you very much for your time, and now I will open the floor to some questions.
Thank you, Valentina, for a fantastic presentation. So please continue to log your questions in the question box. We have around 6 minutes to cover those. I will start with the first question. Are the circular economy hubs in Australia council owned and managed, or are they private organizations?
That's a very good question. So the transfer stations are generally a council asset. So in this example, where we are co-locating the circular economy hubs within the transfer station, they will be owned by council. In the case of the including a hub within a private development, then that will become part of the strata and managed by the strata.
Thank you. How do councils transition to a circular economy and support product stewardship schemes at collection points?
That's a very good question, and that's how our role in working in partnership with councils and understanding what are their waste flows, what are the key materials. We do community consultation with the community to understand what their needs are and what their desire for the future, and combine those elements together to really design a facility that responds to the community needs. And in terms particularly of the take-back scheme and CDS, we are working with a client at the moment in Sydney, where we are incorporating on site also solutions for reverse logistics and vending machines and container deposit schemes, so they can all be co-located and really become one big hub, because people want convenience, they don't want to be driving to 10 different locations.
Thank you. Could you clarify what is a living lab?
Yes, so the idea of the living lab is a space where you can trial and test solutions or new approaches or new materials. Is a concept that also links very well to the idea of a micro factories, or it's like a testing area. It's ideally for startups that want to trial their concepts. And in a perfect world, if the materials they need to do their testing, if they are provided through the circular economy hub, so we have a really closed loop, that's even better.
Thank you. The next question is, in your opinion, is there any construction technique or process or material that we use today that is a threat to circular economy, in your opinion?
That's a very good question. So my answer will be that it is very important to always look at the whole life cycle of any material we procure and we use. For example, when we use recycled content for some materials, we need to make sure that we are aware of what will happen at the end of the life cycle when that new composite material will reach end of life. Ideally, we don't want to end up with a material that, yes, tick the box of recycled content, but at the end of life is probably even harder to be recycled again compared to a virgin material. And then definitely contaminations is another those materials is very, very important to be aware of about the risks.
Thank you. What has been the community reception towards circular economy hubs? Have they been accepted, or are there barriers to overcome still?
So the idea of a circular economy hub is very broadly very well accepted by the community. In Sydney, for example, there are some individual initiatives that are happening, some repair cafe, there is an amazing tool library in Western Sydney. We see more of them popping up. They are more like individual solutions. They are not consolidated in a multi-purpose hub. We are submitting now for planning approval for the second facility I described today, and the plan is to start construction later in the year. So then next year we will know how successful it is, but there is strong interest from the community.
Thank you. Are there any design standards or guidance that was provided by the Australian government regarding the circularity related design?
So as I mentioned, I had the privilege to prepare the first circular design guidelines for the beach environments for the New South Wales government, and that has been kind of adopted broadly at an Australian level, specifically for transfer stations and circular economy hubs. We refer to the EPA regulations. That is the starting point. But then in terms of circularity in design, there is at the moment just that document that is a guidance document in terms of priority design strategies and solutions. So definitely pushing for adaptive reuse as much as possible of any existing assets, and then looking for design for longevity, design for flexibility, adaptability, and if possible, thinking about the whole life cycle, so design for disassembly, at least for some components.
Fantastic. I will take the last question quickly. This is from the US. How have organics been handled in Australia? Do people compost? And if so, is it being done at the municipality level or privately?
So in Australia, the generally residential waste is managed by councils. We are now in Australia shifting to the collection of food waste by councils, which will be then transported and processed off-site, typically through anaerobic digestion. But having said that, many Australians do compost their own fruit and veggie scraps at home, and there are also a variety of community gardens where you can bring your own veggie scraps and contribute to the local gardening area. So there are still the two approaches, but the large scale next step would be collection from councils.
Fantastic. Thank you, Valentina, for a fantastic presentation. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. You have Valentina's contact details shown on the screen. Please feel free to reach out to her directly. And thanks for joining us from all over the world today. We're really pleased to have everyone today. Have a wonderful day, and we will wrap up the webinar now. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.